if you said, oh, I want to travel, I want to go on vacation, you said you want to go to Jamaica, you say you want to go to Bali, you apply for your passport, or you didn't even apply for your passport yet, that's changing. 2025 is the year you're going on that trip, the passport is getting stamped, or your face is getting scanned with the new technology. But I'm here to inspire you to book that trip. Today we're talking about a few cruise tips. I've been on 6 cruises, and I think cruising is an amazing way to travel, so let's get into it. The number one tip to finding the best cruise deal is you have to be flexible. You have to be flexible with the dates that you choose, and also flexible with the departure port that you are cruising out of. For example, if you plan to cruise, let's say your birthday is coming up, but your birthday happens to fall on a holiday weekend every time, of course you want to celebrate your birthday, but you're not going to get that deal because holidays are always going to be at that higher price point. Another tip about flexibility is the cruise port. So of course the more popular cruise ports for the Caribbean would be Miami, Orlando. They have so many itineraries. Basically all of the cruise lines cruise out of at least Miami and then Orlando as well. And so now they do have more cruises going out of them, so there may just be more options for cruises. But if you cruise out of a less popular port like maybe Tampa, the prices can definitely be lower because they may have older ships at Tampa versus Miami where they have all the newer ships going out of. So you have to be flexible with the cruise port as well as those dates. And then that kind of goes into the second tip, which is try traveling and booking your cruise during non-peak months. Of course everyone wants to go somewhere for 4th of July. Of course everyone wants to go on a cruise for Thanksgiving or Christmas with their family, but you will not get the deal there. Those prices, or New Year's prices, Christmas, all those holidays, they could even be double the price just because of the dates, because they know people are gonna book them even if they book them early, book them last minute, so you're not gonna get a deal for those at all. But if you decide to cruise, let's say the first week of December, you're probably gonna get a much better deal compared to the people that cruise during those peak seasons and peak holidays. And that goes along not just holidays, but also just summer. Of course, sailing through the Caribbean, you know, that from Memorial Day up until, you know, Labor Day almost, it's crazy busy. All the ships are packed. All the ports are packed with multiple ships. And so that can really alter your experience, especially if it's your first time cruising. You may be overwhelmed by the amount of people on the boat already. And then once you get to the port and it's just so many other cruise ships and other people, that is just, it could just be a different experience. So the third tip to get the best cruise deal is to book early. I know this is why we're here. We have issues with booking, but I'm here to tell you the earlier the book, first of all, you have, you know, so much more time to pay off the cruise. You know, you just have to do a deposit and then you have more time to get the money to pay it off. That's the one benefit of booking early, is just the amount of time you have, but also there's more availability. So they're gonna more likely just to get some people in the ship, you know, whether it's a brand new ship or just a new itinerary, or just they just open the bookings. If you're one of those first people to book, you're more likely to have a better deal versus someone that tries to book 2 months out when, you know, the cruise line doesn't have to have a deal because they only have so many rooms left, if any. So I would definitely recommend booking early. I would say at least 6 to 8 months out. You can book even further because they do release the itineraries, you know, years in advance. But definitely that 6 to 8 month is a good sweet spot. And on the flip side, there are very little opportunity for last minute deals, but they do come about. My first cruise back in 2021 December, I booked less than 14 days out. Like it was probably 12 days out. And so I got a good deal on the Carnival Vista for about like $700 for 2 people. Now that doesn't happen as much anymore because the demand for cruises is, you know, skyrocketed and there's so many new ships and people are just so interested in cruising. So you're less likely to have that happen. So most cruises have a final payment deadline 90 days prior to the cruise, where if people that place a deposit do not make the, you know, payment in full by that final payment deadline, then their cruise is basically canceled. And so that is when cabins will open up. So if you're open to that, I definitely recommend, reaching out to a travel advisor. That way they can kind of be the inside scoop and help you out with that if that is your situation. But to be safe, just book as early as possible. One, that means you have something to look forward to. Like I always like to I got a trip coming up in however many months. At least have something to look forward to than just last minute booking something. The last cruise deal tip of the day is to sail on an older or smaller ship. Now, trust me, I see the utopia of the seas. I see the icon of the seas. But Royal Caribbean has a lot of cruise ships. So does Carnival. I've been on the Celebration. I've been on the Mardi Gras. The Jubilee looks amazing, but I've also been on the Vista. I'm going on the Horizon next or 2 months from now. So, and I've been on the Miracle, which is like one of the older ones. I recommend, especially for someone that has not gone on a cruise, you don't even know like how the experience is going to be. Everyone likes to talk about one cruise line is like this, the other cruise line's like that, and people are judging based on social media or other people's opinions, but it's nothing like experiencing the cruise for yourself. So don't be discouraged by people that say, oh, this cruise line is not fun or it's too much going on if you have not gone anywhere. You can't say nothing if you haven't booked nothing. So I would say I'd rather be on the oldest ship than to sit at home scrolling on Instagram or whatever platform and seeing people with their swimsuits or just doing stuff, having fun, enjoying the comedy shows, enjoying the entertainment. And you're saying, oh, I wish I can go. This person's always traveling. You could be traveling if you just book that trip. And that's gonna tie into my next video when I talk more about how to choose the best cruise cabin. Because a lot of people have opinions about that, and I'm just gonna tell you what I think just the differences are and, things to consider. So to sum it all up, let's go over everything again. Number one, to get the best cruise deal, your dates have to be flexible. You have to be open to traveling to different ports that may be a little bit more affordable. Number two, you have to think about not cruising during the peak months. Not cruising during the summer, maybe cruising during just that off season of like that January, February, even October, November, depending on where you're going. I definitely recommend cruising during non-peak months. And then third, to get the best cruise deal, I recommend booking early. My sweet spot is 6 to 8 months, but I've done cruises that I've booked in a quicker time period. But I think booking early will help save you some money, as well as, give yourself time to make payments if it is something that, you're not used to doing. And then lastly, you should consider sailing on smaller or older ships. So there are plenty of options amongst the cruise lines, whether you're cruising Carnival, Royal Caribbean, Norwegian, Celebrity, they have so many ships to choose from. And so you don't have to feel like you have to be on the biggest, newest ship like the Utopia or the Icon or the Jubilee or the Viva, Aqua, or Norwegian. There is something for everyone's budget. Trust and believe that, okay? So now that I went over some tips on finding the best cruise deal, I hope that you found this very helpful. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. And I hope this inspired you to get that passport stamp, whether it is in 6 months or in 60 days. I think you need to book that trip, and I'm gonna help you throughout that journey of finding the best cruise or vacation for you. So go ahead and tell your group chat the cruise is booked and that there's no turning back now. And if they turn back, you could go by yourself and you'll have an amazing time.